Hello, this is a review or a guide on how to use the Emergency Response Guidebook. We're going to go through how to use the book, the different parts of the book, and things that can help you on an emergency scene. We won't refer to a year because everybody may be working with a different year based upon what they have available to them. So to start out with, the Emergency Response Guidebook should be used on any potential hazmat. Once you have any indications you might have one and you have some information to go on, whether it be a placard, a type of container, a type of apparatus that's hauling that type of chemical hazard, any of those pieces of information can be valuable and help you out in identifying what the hazardous materials might be, but also our actions that we're going to use to try to mitigate that situation and make it better. So we'll start out with the layout. The book will tell you, or certain books will tell you, that it's broken up into 4 sections. It can actually be looked at as more like 6 sections. You have the white section. This is an informational section. This is actually broken up to a white section that's in the front of the book and a white section that's in the rear of the book. Both are incredibly important, and there's a lot of good information in there beyond just looking up that individual chemical name. As we start out in the white section in the beginning, you open up the book, and just as soon as you open the book, no matter what version you have, there's a set of instructions that actually explains the book in great detail. It's a really good idea to read that over and see exactly what is located in there and how to use the book. As you start leafing through the beginning sections, there's guides to help you along the way with using it. Isolation and evacuation distances that can be helpful as far as explaining them. The actual tables in the green section we'll get to will give you even more, and some even in the orange section. There's a list of different addresses and hazards and places that you can call to give you assistance during a hazardous materials incident. These agencies and numbers can be very helpful. It also gives you some information as to what things they're going to ask, so you can have the information available to you ahead of time. There's phone numbers in here, especially with the different agencies that you can call and get additional assistance from. As you continue through, once you get past a lot of the numbers and reference guides that can help you out, you come to a page that says it's the hazard classification system. That system is for the decimal points or the small digits at the bottom of a placard. You'll see those along with pictures and words sometimes, little numbers at the bottom of the diamond placard. These are broken down into here into different classes, so you can see what type of material you're dealing with. Might not give you the exact name of the chemical, but it'll give you a good idea as to some of the precautions that you're going to need to take. As you go to the next page or so, you'll see a nice brightly colored 2 pages of placards. Little diamond shapes that will give you information on the inside. The information is color coded sometimes. You also see next to the grouping of them a number with inside a circle. That is beneficial. That 3-digit number is the actual guide number for that placard. Even though you can see by looking around, you have flammable, you have radiological, you have poison, and so forth, or even the famous one I love, dangerous, because what exactly does dangerous mean? You can go to these placards, you match up the placard, you find the number, and then you go to the orange section with that number, and that will get you started on how to set up the scene. So it's nothing more than matching up what you're seeing in front of you with a picture in the book. As you continue on to probably the next page, you have railcar identification chart and road trailer identification chart. Here again, we're matching up pictures, what we're looking at in front of us as opposed to in the book here. Once we match them up, again, there's circles with numbers in them. Those numbers are the guides that you'll go to. Even though you're not going to have an exact chemical name or identification, you'll be able to start the process and at least set up some boundaries, some basic guides as to what you're going to be doing. As you continue on, there's some other good information here. Toxic gases, flammable, codes that you can find, the gas pipeline. All good information that needs to be read and understood that can help you out and be incredibly valuable on a scene. The next thing, we come to the yellow section. The yellow section, if you open up to any page in the yellow section, you'll notice the first entry is the ID number. The ID number is the actual 4-digit Department of Transportation number you'll see on the listing there, that you actually see on the placard, and that's how we're going to get a numerical listing. If we have that number but we don't have a name of the chemical, we can look it up through here. We find the numbers in the yellow section. Everything is listed numerically, so everything's in numerical order, so it makes it easy to find in the yellow section. So yellow is numerical. You find the 4-digit ID number, doesn't matter what one you're looking at in the yellow section. To the right of that 4-digit ID number is that guide number again. This is going to take you to the orange section, where it's really going to give you the information you need to get started. To the right of that, you actually have the chemical name. Now, something to note. Sometimes you're going to have multiple listings for the same 4-digit ID number. Why is that? They're different chemicals. Why are they listing them differently? This is because they have the same characteristics, and you're going to do the same precautions and setup for each one. So having multiple numbers is not a big deal. You just need to be aware that it could be any one of those chemicals until you can narrow it down with a list somewhere else to identify. But the concepts, the setup, the organization's all going to be the same. So that's the yellow section. Everything's in numerical order. That's how you can find the chemicals once you know the 4-digit ID number on the placard. Now we go to the blue section. If you'll notice, this starts out with the chemical name, then goes to the guide number, then goes to the 4-digit ID number. So if you have a bill of lading, an inventory list, an MSDS sheet, or SDS sheet now, you can go in, find the name of the chemical, and that'll take you right to the guide. You can also confirm it's the right thing. If you also know the 4-digit ID number on a placard, you can match it up with the ID number. So it's like a cross-reference here. So the yellow section is numerical. The blue is all the chemical names listed alphabetically. So if you know the chemical names, go to the blue first. If you don't, you have the 4-digit ID numbers. That's where you're going to go to the yellow section. Alright, now we get the orange section. This is the guide reference. This is the meat and potatoes of the book. This is what you want to get to. The other is reference material on how to get to this. The pictures and the placards and that stuff, the division class. That is other good reference information. But once we get to this point where we get to the guide, that actually gives us some information. You open it up, and it doesn't matter where you open up in the orange section. You'll have 2 pages with the same guide number at the top. You'll start out with health hazards, fire explosion hazards, public safety, who to call, how to position yourself so you stay out of the line of fire with a chemical, protective clothing you'll need, and if the protective clothing will even give you any benefit or protection. Some may show there's limited protection. Evacuation distances based on size, if it's still in the chemical format, if it's on fire, what state of matter, etc. Then we go over to the other side, the right-handed page, and it's the emergency response, what we're actually going to do if we go. If there's a fire, if it's big or small, should we be putting water on it? How should we be trying to extinguish it? If it's a leak, precautions and things that we should do if it's leaking, actively leaking. And last but definitely not least, first aid. If somebody's been in contact with this chemical, first aid we can use on them and or our own firefighters if need be. So all are good information. This is where we want to get to so we can have a guide on how to deal with this. There's a short section in between the orange and the green section. It's a very short white section, kind of explanatory on the green section. The green section is your evacuation distances and also discusses your water reactive materials. So if you have a listing in the orange section that says see the green section, you go to the green section, you'll flip it on its side, you'll find the chemical you're looking for in the left hand column, and then you'll go over, is it a big spill, is it a small spill, during the day, during the night, and it'll give you distances of how far you should be evacuating. at the end of the green section, you'll also have a list of water-reactive materials, polymerizers, and so forth. So other good information you may not know that's in there, and most people go to the green section and think, oh, it's just evacuation distances, but there is other information there as well. Toxic inhalation hazards, and so forth in there. And then last but not least, we go to the last section of the book, which is the rear white section. This also has a lot of good information. It has definitions. It has more contact information. It has a glossary of terms which can help you with the book and other things that you might be looking at. Terrorism, publication data, and so forth, and other resources that you can call for help. Setting up PPE. A lot of good information in there as well, so that should be looked over as well, and not just looked at this as a reference for specific chemicals, but generic information as well. Alright, the hazard classifications. We talked about this before. These are the breakdown of a numeric system that goes into classes. You have explosives, flammable liquids, flammable gases, radioactive material, all kinds of different materials that you can have general information or general knowledge of based upon this little number. It's either a single digit or a decimal, as you see on the screen, that's at the bottom of that placard. Unknown chemicals. We may get there and not have an idea at all as to what to do. We might not have a number to go by. We might not have a chemical name to go by. So what we can do is go to Guide 111. That's your generic unknown chemical, and that gives you a basic perimeter, basic evacuation distances to set things up. So if you have no information whatsoever, you can go to Guide 111, and that can help you out with that as well. Hazard guides, we talked about the hazard class that you see, the 4-digit ID number. That's going to give you the more specific chemical name. And again, like we said, you may have multiple listings for that same number. It merely means that the properties are the same and you're going to handle that chemical the same. The vessel or ID, nothing more than pictures. You're matching up pictures with what you see in front of you. And that again will give you a generic idea, a little bit better than like a dangerous placard as to what's in there. It might give you at least the state of matter it's in and the different potential things that could be carried in that vessel. Alright, we're going to give you a little practice using this. I'm going to go over the placards here and describe them a little bit, but then you're going to go back in the quiz attached to this section and look these chemicals up. Now looking at this first placard, this is the average placard you'll see on a vehicle that's over the road or even over the rail. You'll see the flame. It's kind of a giveaway. It's some type of flammable material. We don't know yet if it's liquid, gas, or whatever based upon just that picture. But we know it's flammable, so obviously ignition sources we want to isolate away from this. We have that 4-digit ID number there. That's the number you're going to look up in the yellow section and find out where it is and what type of chemical it may be, and should translate to a name or names. And that 3 down below, the 3 down below is that division class we talked about. So when you go back and you do look this up, look it up twice. Look up the division class in the beginning in that white section, but also go to the 4-digit ID number in the yellow section and then cross-reference it to what it is chemical-wise, and also what page or guide number that's going to give us the rest of the information we want to know is located what it is. Here's another one. A little tough to see, but you can see that there's it's a picture up top, and there's a picture of a hand and a test tube pouring stuff on a hand that's kind of eating it away. Also a piece of metal that's being corroded away by this chemical. So that's kind of the universal thing for corrosives. We have the 4-digit ID number, 1830-1830, so we can look that up. And then that is a little 8 down at the bottom. And that again will go to division class and show you what type of material that is. Alright, now here's just the opposite. Here's the name of a chemical. Look this chemical up, and then you'll find not only the 4-digit ID number, but the guide number as well to go to in the orange section. IPDI. Here's the name of another chemical. Now, it's very important, not that we have to be incredibly good spellers, but if we're looking something up or we're communicating it to somebody else, to make sure that what we're seeing is exactly what's being copied down. One letter off could change the chemical completely to something different, and we could be doing something we shouldn't be doing to try to mitigate that chemical or that situation. Alright, that's it. I'll give you 4 chances to practice with that. But that isn't the end. If you drive up and down the road, you go to a gas station, you go to a garden center, you look up and down the roadway and see vehicles, they have placards all over them. Use that as a learning guide. Find the numbers. Once you look at the number, look it up and kind of find out what the chemical is. The more you do this, the common numbers you'll see out there will start to become second nature to you. Nobody expects you by any means to memorize all of these, but some of the common ones will click to you just as soon as you see those numbers. So use this guide, practice, and get good at using the emergency response guidebook. Don't forget to take the quiz at the end, and again, just practice so we can get you used to working with ERG.